If you were going to yoga, you're not going to say, hey, next Thursday is my last yoga class, and then I graduate and I get my certificate. I now know yoga. That never happens. And we've really changed that in the way we approach dog training as something that is an ongoing, highly repeatable thing. We don't hit our customers over the head. It's a strange proposition to hear it if we say it to you on day one, but we know that everybody gets there rapidly. So we let the people fall in love with us and have that discovery of, oh my God, I came in to train my puppy. Who knew months later that this would be me and my kid or my significant other's favorite thing to do every week?
Welcome to Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast series. Here we talk about all things franchising. What is it all about? Is it for you? How do you find the best one to own? And so much more. Now your host, Tim Parmeter.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast series. I am Tim Parmeter, founder and CEO of Fran Coach and your podcast host. Today, we are excited to have a guest with us today. These are always better than just listening to me drone on for 15 minutes or so. Well, we have one of our franchise partners and a relatively new one that is going to join us today so we can learn all about their incredibly cool and unique franchise. But before we dive into all this, let's of course first tell you who we are. Fran Coach is a national search firm. We are dedicated to working with individuals who are interested in owning a franchise. We are partnered with over 500 of the top franchise awards in the country, spanning nearly 60 industries. Our goal is to help clients find the absolute best franchise for them to own. And our goal of the Franchising 101 podcast series is to help educate people on all aspects of franchise ownership. So that's a little bit about us, but now let's get to our special guest. Joining us today is the CEO of a franchise called Zoom Room, Mr. Mark Van Wy. Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Tim. It's great to be here.
We appreciate you joining us, man. How's everything out in your world?
It's been a pretty great week. We had a new location just open this past weekend in a new state for us. That's always exciting. And a couple of new signings this week too. So I have no complaints.
Dang, that's a good week. You might as well, after this, you might as well just knock off early and take the rest of Thursday and Friday off. So, well, that's cool, man. Well, we've got and appreciate you with, especially how busy you are, taking some time to chat with us. We got a bunch of questions for you. But before we get into what it's like to own a Zoom Room, maybe just start with what the heck is Zoom Room? Kind of what do you do? Who are your customers? Kind of talk to us from that perspective.
Of course. So Zoom Room is an indoor dog training gym. We have locations around the country, and our emphasis is on socialization. Our motto is we don't train dogs, we train the people who love them. And really the whole business model, I mean, the layout, everything radiates from that proposition. Unlike most pet businesses, we really are focused on the customer experience, and that lets us create and curate an experience for them that keeps them as clients for lifetime. And that is the Zoom Room.
Okay. So talk about some of the services that that you provide, and I love that tagline, right? So this is not just the dog, right? This is the dog and their owner typically. So what does that look like if somebody ever suckered me into having a dog? And for all you dog lovers, I appreciate it. I'm probably not one of them, but if I had a dog, we were coming into Zoom Room, what are some things that we might be doing?
Well, these days where everybody just got a dog in 2020, except for you.
Exactly.
Puppy training and basic obedience are certainly like what beats the doors down. So that fills up a lot of time disproportionately right now because of so many people having recently acquired one. But beyond that, we're very well known for our agility training program and our therapy dog program. Pretty much anything you can think of, we do. So we have all sorts of advanced classes in agility. That's where the dogs run through obstacle courses, as well as enrichment things like indoor herding, where you're herding instead of sheep, these big exercise balls into soccer goals. And all of it is under the idea that we're we're just helping people understand how to communicate better with their dogs and to deepen those bonds and have a much better life and relationship together with them and empower them to really understand exactly what they've got on their hands.
And no, very cool. And some of the things, and if anybody listening wants to see any of the videos or see anything about this, zoomroom.com. I'll go ahead and get that plug in for you right now. And then obviously we'll plug the heck out of us later, but we can share some of these things with you. But seeing some of the videos or things on your website, I mean, like one of them, there's like a little, we've probably all seen like the Westminster thing, right? Where it's not as probably as extensive as that, but like a little obstacle course that the dogs are running through things, they're jumping up over things, they're going through little like tubes. Like I have an 8-year-old two-legged kind of pet, if you will. I'm like, man, I want to take him through there, run his little butt ragged and wear him out. But it's some cool things that you're taking the dogs and their owners through for sure.
Yeah, and then something they do together. It's not like the dog learns this. What's great about agility is that it requires that the human understand what order to run the things and non-verbally communicate that in real time while running. So, everyone who comes in, we really help people understand that any dog can do this. Teacup Chihuahuas, Great Danes, three-legged dogs. All of our equipment is modular. It modifies in size for younger ones so that it's not stressing their bones or muscles. But the clients have this experience where they get home afterwards and just can't believe how much better behaved the dog is. And that's because they've really taken this incredible step forward in communication. And the results are instantaneous.
Nice. How did Zoom Room come to be? What was kind of the thought or the kind of maybe the story behind getting Zoom Room even started years ago?
Yeah, so back in 2007, agility was something that you could see on ESPN. It was the fastest growing sport, but there really was, even in where I am in Los Angeles, nowhere to do it. We developed this as a franchise, and then I was involved from the beginning, but I took over as CEO about 5 years ago. And that was when I realized that there was much more potential in really owning the entire category of dog training. The agility is great in terms of, the sizzle, something that gets a lot of eyeballs. It's super fun. But, the numbers showed that the bread and butter of the business was the puppy and obedience classes, as well as our retail product sales and some of our other socialization events. So I really wanted to reconstruct the entire economic business model. And from the time I did that till now, the volume has quadrupled, and was able to take a business that was fun and lovely and much loved, but not doing too much economically, to even in 2020, in our most recent FDD, our item 19 shows all of our stores profitable. The median about 150,000 net profit for the year, 33% margin. And that was through really looking at the business model that was underlying something that was full of love and affection to begin with, but hadn't really been properly monetized.
Well, and people will spend money on their pets and dogs in particular. I mean, people that are true dog lovers, if they also have kids, there's a distinct possibility they like their dogs better than they like their kids, right? And will spend, do you need a kidney for the dog? What do we need to do? But you talked about last year, and I've heard so many stories of this where like you literally couldn't find a puppy or a dog or anything last year.
Shelters sold out. Yeah, even though we opened 3 new locations in the middle of the pandemic and sold a whole bunch of additional ones. The demand was so high. We were able to stay open for most of the year for most of our locations, and service all of these people who had these needs. And it was, pretty serious, because dogs need a lot of socialization, and that certainly was in short supply for the whole world this past year.
Yeah, it wasn't just dogs either, right?
No. People would wander in and they'd be kind of shell shocked. There weren't very many places open, and they hadn't really seen other faces in a while.
Oh my gosh. So that's super cool. So let's talk a little bit about the business model. And I want to get into, you talk about the location, what that looks like, what kind of team.
Yeah.
But first off, with an owner, what are some of the things you look for in an owner? What's it look like kind of day in a life for an owner typically?
Well, they would fall into the category, as with any franchise, of owner operators, where it's someone who is just passionate about dogs. They've realized that, owning a Zoom room is, orders of magnitude less expensive than the typical dog daycare, kennel, dog spa type business. Way more fun, much more profitable. And they want to do this as their baby and be in there every day. So we certainly have franchisees like that and continue to attract them. But more and more so now, we're seeing people who are looking to own territories, wanting to own multiple units, and to be semi-absentee. So they want to stay engaged in the business, but they're going to hire a manager to run the day-to-day operations. So the life of a manager of one of those stores or of a owner operator single unit franchisee are very similar, and a lot of it is very the business itself. It's kind of like a gym, like an upscale nice boutique fitness place. So there's not a lot of moving pieces to keep it clean and nice. And so a lot of the focus is really on that customer care experience, and very, very small footprint in terms of the real estate, and only two people are working at a given time. So the staffing needs are very, very minimal, which is great today when, employment is becoming such an issue for all different types of businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned the comparison with boutique fitness. I almost see the comparison more along those lines than with a doggy spa, daycare, those type of things. It's a whole different kind of genre of what's going on. This is essentially like doggy boutique fitness, with that. So which kind of rolls us into the location. What's kind of a typical location look like, size, where is it, talk to us a little bit about that.
Sure. We're in about 10 states now. The business we know works extremely well in any place that has decent population density and a lot of educated people. We don't see any correlation with household income, or we're not looking for affluence, but we are looking for people that are more educated than average. Over 90% of our clients are college educated and above, which is something you would see in like a Whole Foods, people who are not necessarily flying first class, but they're willing to spend extra on, the quality yoga place, the quality grocery store for themselves and their family. But because we are unique and such a destination business, there won't be other indoor dog training places offering therapy dog programs, agility, things like that. You really don't have to be located in, A plus real estate at Main and Main. You go to the right part of town, you can go a few blocks away and save quite a bit on your rent.
Nice. Okay. And looking most, when you think of a boutique fitness, somewhere between 2 to 3,000 square feet, typically roughly the same for Zoom
That's
room with that, right?
exactly. Yep,
Gotcha.
that
Okay.
2,700. We have a few stores that are opening a little bit on the larger side just because they got a great deal, and they're going to have two gyms to deal with the bandwidth. So they're going to have
Oh,
these
wow.
dual gyms. We have a couple of those now going. That's great for the demand. I don't think it's necessary for the model, but as you're out looking at what's available in the real estate, it's nice to know that you have a couple of options and that we can, we provide lots of services. We have a fully dedicated help you, and even will do the floor plans.
Nice. Well, again, then that's one of the things too, people, I think a weird advantage to what's happened with the pandemic over the last year or so. You talk about somebody getting maybe a space that's a little bit bigger, but they probably got a good deal. There are some deals to be found in commercial real estate right now for sure. So that's helpful. And then again, having that franchisor support, so it's not like, okay, good luck, go find the spot, right? You guys are there with them throughout all of that. So also very helpful. You mentioned staff, kind of a smaller staff, no more than two at a time. Are as an owner or the franchisee, are you training the people everything? Are they coming in with any certain specifications, certifications, anything like that?
Oh, that's a great question, Tim. We don't look for any. Matter of fact, prior experience in some ways can even hurt. And I say that not for the obvious reason of like, oh, you might have learned a different way to train dogs, and now we have to unlearn it. It's more that in our experience, people who typically start off in life wanting to be a dog trainer tend to be very focused on that dog experience. And I'm generalizing, but as a general rule, maybe aren't the best salespeople, the most gregarious and outgoing, don't make a lot of eye contact. And so we have such an upbeat that our trainers are much more like a great Pilates or yoga instructor, Peloton, outgoing, explosive, energetic, friendly. Um, and so if you get somebody who's been working, like teaching yoga classes, or who's been the assistant manager at a Williams Sonoma, someone who's got good customer service and sales skills, that's great. The dog stuff, that's our stock and trade. We'll provide all of the training for that. We have our own proprietary training program, and we'll take care of that. We just want you to find energetic team members who are going to be so psyched to be working in this environment, and with people who are, happy and excited to be there with their dogs, doing something super fun.
And it's one of those things. I think most people, even myself, when you said that, I'm like, well, it makes sense after the fact, but you would think there would be some sort of dog pet training that the people would need. But this is a dog and their owner business, so you need
Yeah,
that. It's one thing to make the dog happy, but let's be honest, the dog's not paying the bill, right? So the
exactly.
dog owner is the one, and they're with you guys, they're actually involved. And I think that's the biggest thing to me. I look at this business model and just think it's super cool, but it's unique. It's a kind of a real disruptor. The pet industry is, I don't know what, like a gazillion-dollar industry, but it's grooming, it's the products, it's the daycare, the boarding, it's those type of things. There's not much like this out there, where it really is you always use the term socialization for the pet and for their owner. So
Yeah.
very, very cool with that. What's talk a little bit about, you mentioned kind of those profit numbers, which are amazing. What's it look like kind of for an average investment to get a Zoom room up and running?
It's about a third or a fourth the price of a typical daycare. Those are usually about $1 million. A soup to nuts. A Zoom room is more like 250 to 300,000. That's with the franchise fee, a few months of additional funds to carry you through, first and last. The rent will be the biggest variable there, but other than your rent, that's your biggest part of your nut. So it's pretty inexpensive when you realize that you could have three or four of these things in a city as opposed to one daycare. And with it's a great profit machine too. We have a lot of expertise on the tech side that we leverage for things like customer acquisition and retention. And so by having customers at a very low acquisition cost and an extremely high lifetime revenue, people can really, really scale this business rapidly.
Great. So, which brought up, just made me think of something from that customer perspective. And sorry, I may be kind of putting you on the spot with this, but I mean, this isn't a one-time customer. Are they coming in and kind of paying per visit? Is it a membership? Are they paying for a package? What does that look like?
Yeah, so we use different pricing models. We have a few different strategies at different stores, but that's ultimately what is so different about us. If you think about people who typically think of dog training, they go to a big box and they sign up for 6 classes, or they hire someone to come to their house and for a lot of money and work with them for a few sessions. 6% of our customers take 6 classes. 94% are taking 10, 20, 50, 100, 200. In the last year, like down, we keep leaderboards on the website for each individual location. So doing a class a week is normal. What we really transformed was, if you were going to yoga, you're not going to say, hey, next Thursday is my last yoga class, and then I graduate and I get my certificate. I now know yoga. That never happens. And we've really changed that in the way we approach dog training as something that is an ongoing, highly repeatable thing. We don't hit our customers over the head. It's a strange proposition to hear it if we say it to you on day one, but we know that everybody gets there rapidly. So we let the people fall in love with us and have that discovery of, oh my God, I came in to train my puppy. Who knew months later that this would be me and my kid or my significant other's favorite thing to do every week? Yeah, we end up with, we even in our item 19 publish our customer acquisition cost and our lifetime revenue. Even we try to help our franchisees not only be profitable, but keep an eye on their cash flow. And so we even publish what kind of revenue return they're getting within an extremely short term, like 8 weeks after customer acquisition. So they can see even then they're getting 10x on their acquisition cost. So they can get a really quick sense of how quickly this business is profitable.
Wow. Well, and I'm guessing this goes back to the staff, right? If you have kind of people-centric staff members, again, yes, it's the dog, but if their human is having a good experience with this, again, I would see them just coming back, and the dog probably like getting all excited on the drive over to Zoomer,
the
right?
dogs have a great, the dogs ultimately, they want to be with their people, with their family, and they're getting either whatever makes them happy. So we use positive reinforcement only. Some people think that's treats. It's, for a lot of dogs it is, but they're getting just praised and rewarded for doing really, really fun stuff with the people they love most. So the dogs get excited. They very, very rapidly learn, and that creates a lot of satisfaction for the people. And so we just get, we have an 87% retention rate. Yeah, that people just keep coming back year after year.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. Yeah, no, I like and when people see it, just even me just again watching the videos, I flash back to being a kid, and we had a dog, and we were driving to my grandparents' house. Our little dog, she'd be in the car, she'd be excited, like she'd be bouncing all over the place.
Yeah.
And I just kind of envisioned like the dogs going to Zoomer, like they just are the same dog would crawl under the seat if we were taking it to the vet, because the dog knew the route to the vet and route to grandparents, and one was significantly better than the other. So that is, it's just awesome, man. I appreciate you taking the time, but and all the information. What are we missing? Maybe anything else you would like us to know that we haven't discussed yet?
It's I think it's good to know that if you are looking at some other type of pet business, like a groomer or something, like definitely before you pay $1, like go spend more time like really seeing what it's like, because the reality is you don't get to play with dogs. There's a lot of grief, there's a lot of injury when you have lots of dogs that are there together being only somewhat supervised. There's a lot of zoning and regulation, and we really to eliminate all of those hassles, so that you come in on Saturday morning and you just are greeted by a place full of puppies and puppy owners who are excited to learn. We've really tried to, no business can be all things to all people, and we keep it happy. If you come in and you say your dog's just, bitten off the mailman's face, can we help? We say, sure, here's the phone number of a behaviorist to call, and we refer that out. So we know what we're good at and what our strong suits are, and we do it so that it's a really, really positive, happy place to work in for your staff and for yourself, and for your customers, and to make a really positive impact in. So that's definitely, I think people, whether you're going to be semi-absentee or not, you've got to think about lifestyle and what it's really, really like to, get in one of these. So this is great on the money side, but it's super, super fun. And I would encourage people to go visit and check out the nearest Zoom room.
Yeah, without question. That's we refer to it as the get out of bed test, right? As an owner, you're going to get out of bed, you're going to go to work at your business. The people you're around, two-legged, or in this case, four-legged, right? Your customers, your staff, being able to talk about it in the community. If that doesn't get you excited, just it's not the right fit. And if it does, totally, the money's going to come because you're going to enjoy what you're doing, right? More and again, I think so many people that we work with that are, especially if they're leaving the corporate world, they're not happy, right? It's just it's the grind over and over and over. They want that better lifestyle. They want to enjoy what they're doing, have a passion for it. And this clearly can bring that. And when you find that great fit, the money's going to come. It may be perfect for a single location or a single unit, but for you guys, I mean, you can build out, have multiple of these, and really be able to grow a profitable and fun business. So yeah, that is fantastic. Mark, man, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you coming on and talking to us about Zoom Room.
Oh, thank you, Tim. I've really enjoyed it. I appreciate it.
No, we do as well. And we hope that all of our Franchising 101 episodes will help enlighten those interested in franchise ownership to some of the amazing possibilities that are out there, like the Zoom Room. If you enjoy the podcast, please make sure you are following and subscribing wherever you listen to the podcast, on YouTube, all the social media stuff. We're out there everywhere. Check out our podcast website at franchising101podcast.net. Took us literally hours to come up with that name, so hopefully you check it out and will like it. If you'd like to learn more about potentially becoming a franchise owner of Zoom Room or any of the franchise partners we work with, click the link in your podcast window or find us online, francoach.net. There's never any fee for working with us, so we encourage you to take that first step today to create your better tomorrow. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay safe, and we hope to see you very, very soon. Thanks so much.
Thanks for listening to Fran Coach's Franchising 101 podcast, where our ultimate goal is to help educate you on all things franchising so you can create your better tomorrow.